everyone. My name is Kamara Lee, and I am the founder and CEO of Talent Plus. Welcome back to our channel. It is time to get talented. In today's episode of Talented, I have a very special guest joining me today. I would like to introduce you to Ambassador Joan Underwood. Joan is an author, a professional coach, master trainer, certified change practitioner, and she has over 25 years of relevant experience. Now, I will be engaging Joan today to speak about her recently published book, Manager's First Aid Kit. Welcome, Joan.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for having me. And I'm doing just great, thanks. Glad to be with you.
Lovely to have you. I know we are going to have a very exciting conversation today. You know that I am in love with your book. I absolutely love it. When I received my book, I was overjoyed. I was like, yeah, I got it. So I thought it was fitting because it covers a very key sector in terms of our organizations, managers. And one of the things that I realized you focused on in your book is not just new managers, but existing managers as well. But first, Joan, what inspired you to write this book?
So, Kamara, over the years, both in my own career and then as I have advanced and become a consultant and a coach, I have found that so many people struggle with the transition from individual contributor to becoming a manager. And the research supports my own experience in that up to 60% of new managers either fail outright or underperform in their first 2 years in the new role. Yeah. And that's because the employers, unfortunately, far too often do not prepare them for the transition. So these managers say that they learned by trial and error. Yeah. So that's why the book is so helpful to new and aspiring managers. But as you mentioned, experienced managers have been really loving the book as well. And that's because some of it reinforces what they already know, but a lot of it helps them to close gaps that, again, because they've been doing things by trial and error, learning as they go along, sometimes they really don't have that strong foundation that they need. So that's why it's resonating with both new and experienced managers.
Yes, I love it. And you are absolutely right. A lot of the times we look at somebody and they're doing exceptional in their role as a line staff. And then an opportunity presents itself and we promote that person into that position without any real training. There is this theory, managers made or managers born, or made. What are your thoughts on that?
All right. So the whole, nature or nurture conversation. Yes. And I don't think it's either or. I think it's a combination because some people have very good instincts. But again, if they don't hone their craft, they're never going to realize their true potential. So I think it's important to have some inherent skills that you bring to the table from the get-go, but it's also very important to make a commitment to your ongoing professional development.
Yes, very important. In your book, Joan, you touched on 3 major areas, and so I want to speak a little bit about them. The first part, managing self. Part 2, managing others. And part 3, managing processes. Why these 3 areas? And can you tell us a little bit about each area, self, others, and processes?
Absolutely. So again, most high-performing individuals get promoted to the managerial ranks. Now, when you're an individual contributor, your focus is on your work, what's on your desk at your workstation, and you're very good at that. That's why you got promoted. Now, once you have responsibility for managing people, it's important to have emotional intelligence. And what exactly is emotional intelligence? Well, there are 4 primary components. So it starts with self-awareness. How alert, aware are you of how you show up? Can you identify your emotions as you experience them? Put a name on them, because we all have blind spots.
Definitely.
And so it's important if we're going to be successful as managers, because by definition, managers have to interact with others. You're probably going to be leading a team. You're going to have other departments with which you need to interact. You have clients or customers. You have people senior to you in the organization. So how do you interact with these people? What blind spots need to be brought into your area of awareness so that you can get to the second element of emotional intelligence, which is self-regulation? Because it's one thing to be aware of your emotions as you experience them. It's another thing to be able to regulate them, because it's so easy to get hijacked, either by your emotions or by the emotions of the others. Because not everyone in the workplace, not every client is going to be someone who's just joyful all the time, pleasant all the time, grateful all the time. So you will have difficult interpersonal dynamics to manage. So self-awareness, self-regulation. The other two components of emotional intelligence relate to the other. So it's your awareness of the emotions of others. Sometimes we refer to it as the ability to read the room. Some people can be very smart in terms of a particular technical field, but they just seem completely clueless when it comes to the interpersonal dynamic. So that's another component of emotional intelligence, the awareness first, and then the regulation. If you're going to succeed as a manager, you absolutely need to focus on developing your emotional intelligence. The other thing about self-management is that over your career, you would have developed a number of habits and practices that worked well for you. But in this new role, they may no longer be fit for purpose. So, for example, I may have developed the ability to put my head down, focus on a task, ignore everything else that's going on until that task is completed. And when I hand it over, the quality is fantastic. So that may have been very helpful for you as an individual contributor. As a manager, you can't put your head down and ignore what's going on around you, because your job as a manager is to ensure that your department, your unit gets things done. And you have to do that with and through others. So you need heads up leadership. You need to be paying attention to the other members of the team. But if you're not aware of how you're showing up, then it could be problematic. Another part of the self-management component that I know is important to you is self-care. Because as I say all the time, one of my mantras is you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Yes.
So you can't be there looking after your team, looking after your department, but you're not looking after self. Because if you do not take care of yourself, you're going to deplete that most important resource, which is you, and therefore you will have less to contribute. So that's why the book starts with self-management.
The book, as well as this podcast, it is filled with food for thought. You will get your belly filled. Promise me you will. So I encourage you to purchase the book. Until next time, thank you for tuning in. It is time to get talented.
Transform.